Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is the news on 14 of March. I don't know why I said it like that. 14 March 23. We are here today to talk about transfer targets, striker targets. There's been some breaking news this morning regarding Manchester United's approach for Harry Kane and Victor Osimhen. Talk, obviously, over the last few months of Man United needing a striker, something that we've known for basically, since we sold Lukaku, United have been in the market for a long-term striker or even a medium-term striker. We haven't bought a striker that is under the age of 33 in 5 years or 6 years, which tells you a lot about Manchester United's current sort of tribulations in the forward positions. United need a new striker. Harry Kane obviously is a big name, a big target, someone that I think would be great at Manchester United, someone that we've been linked with pretty heavily. But there's been two different reputable journalists reporting today, this morning, that Manchester United are wary of signing Harry Kane and may prefer a move for Victor Osimhen because of the old Daniel Levy tax, I would say, that gets put on things. We'll get into that in just a minute. Obviously, that's the big story for today. Get your thoughts in. Who would you prefer, Harry Kane, Victor Osimhen? Another one mentioned is Vlahović as well at Juventus. Do you think he could be the next big thing for Manchester United? Who do you want to see? Because surely United are signing someone this summer, and it's going to be a big money signing. And we've got to get it right. It's not a question of, well, Osimhen's younger, so he's better. Is he the right player? Is Vlahović the right player? Is Kane the right player? And what are your reservations around all of those signings? Get your thoughts in the comments, and we'll come to those in just a minute. Quick bit of news to start with. Casemiro. United have decided not to appeal the red card against Casemiro. Obviously, we all saw, or presumably we all saw, the tackle that was initially given a yellow card. He won the ball. His foot then bounced off the ball into the opposition player's shin. He was given a red card. One of those that I think was harsh. Maybe it's one where you can sort of see it go either way, but I think, unfortunately, on the day, all of the ones that could go either way went the other way against Southampton. No penalties given, even for handball or for the tackle that, yes, it won the ball, but also has left Garnacho injured till certainly past the international break, and this red card decision as well, which I think, again, you look at the foul on João Felix in the day before, where it was, I believe it was the same referee who reffed that game, was in the VAR booth for the United game, didn't give a red card for one, gave a red card for the other one, almost as though he'd learned his lesson from the day before and decided to be a bit stricter on that type of tackle, which again is that lack of consistency that everyone talks about. But you see there, referee Anthony Taylor initially booked Casemiro for a tackle on Carlos Alcaraz, but then sent him off after going to the television monitor on advice of the assistant referee. United believe there was little chance of this decision being overturned. Casemiro will now serve an immediate 4-match domestic suspension. The additional game comes because it was his second dismissal of the season. Yeah, whatever. Casemiro is across Europe, but this is Ten Hag talking after the game. In over 500 games, he'd never had a red card, and now he has twice in about 6 games or something ridiculous. He plays tough, but he plays fair. Also, in this, he is playing fair. Same against Palace, so it's very debatable. When you freeze it, it looks bad, but everyone knows something about football, who is acting on top of football. They know what is bad and what isn't bad, what is fair. I tell you, Casemiro is a really fair player. Tough but fair, and it shows over 500 games in big leagues, never sent off. Again, obviously, just because you've never been sent off before doesn't mean you shouldn't be allowed to be sent off in the future. But I do think both red cards were slightly harsh. Certainly the second one for me, I just think, I get it. I get why he got sent off. I can understand what people are seeing. I'm not blind to it. But I just think he wins the ball first and his foot bounces off the ball into the player's leg. It's unfortunate, but I don't think the tackle itself was dangerous. I think a sort of almost impossible set of mathematical equations would have had to have been undertaken by Casemiro to know his foot was going to bounce off in that direction and get the player's leg. He would also have had to have known where the player was going to stand. He was also had to have known the exact rolling geometry and miles per hour of the ball. Like, I just think it's unfair to expect a player to know that his foot is going to bounce off the ball and get a player in the shin. It just felt a bit, yeah, I get it. It obviously hurt him, but To me, it was a bit unlucky. Anyway, we won't be getting Casemiro for the next 4 domestic games, but we will see him in 2 days, so that's pretty good. Let's move on. Garnacho, sort of referenced it there, but again, the injury is being dubbed more serious than expected after some test results have come back. Now, if we have a look at this, the wording that I saw was that he won't be back until after the international break. Obviously, tests are being done, but again, fear the worst according to TYC Sports, who is an Argentinian outlet. And I'm just looking straight at their article here, and they're saying the injury suffered by the soccer player is more serious than thought and would sideline him from matches against Panama and Curacao, which is obviously with an Argentinian bias because they are an Argentinian outlet. We're looking at the international break. That makes sense. But they don't really go on to say how long he'll be out after that. So he's set to miss the double date of friendlies in March, which again is the international games, which would take us, the first game after that would be the 2nd of April. Again, we don't have anything other than them saying studies that showed the injury is more serious than we thought. So it depends how serious you thought it was. And also, we don't know what more serious means because all we've got is he's not going to be available for the international break. That could be out to the end of the season. That could be he's broken his ankle. That could be ligaments. That could be, actually, he's back for the Newcastle game. So it's an update of sorts. It means that he won't be playing now or against... he won't be playing against Fulham at the weekend or obviously Betis on Thursday. But we don't know exactly how long he's out for. And as soon as we do, obviously we'll let you know and that will be available for us all to see. But yeah, currently, all we know is he's probably going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks minimum, could be longer. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Let's move on to our main story for today then. We've got a couple of outlets. So we've got Florian Plettenberg and we've got ESPN both talking about this, which suggests to me there may have been some level of information coming out from the club or sources close to the club. We'll start with Florian Plettenberg, who is here tweeting this morning saying, news that on Kane, I've been told that United are not seriously considering a transfer of Kane at this stage. The total financial package should be too expensive for the 29-year-old. Osimhen is more attractive for Manchester United and no hot contact between Bayern and Kane at the moment. Now, I don't know what hot contact is, but I can guess. And if we're willing to see some hot contact between Bayern and Kane, I would certainly pay for that subscription. That's all I'm going to say. But hot contact, Ethan, write that down. hotcontact.com. That's a new business I'm going to set up after this. Is it transfers? Is it something slightly more sinister? Only you will know when you sign up for hotcontact.com. Also in ESPN, we can leave that up because it's essentially the same news, but slightly different phrasing and tweaks on there. ESPN, Mark Ogden, obviously we've had him on the channel before. We've had Florian Plettenberg on the channel many times before as well. Why United could consider a move for Harry Kane this summer. Now, it's interesting that that's the title. However, in the article itself, talking about a discussion with Daniel Levy, that is where it basically says we might not want him. So, interestingly, the article's called Why United Could Consider a Move for Harry Kane this summer. The second paragraph says, Kane and United would appear to be a perfect fit, but sources have told ESPN that the prospect of dealing with Spurs chairman Daniel Levy in order to negotiate a deal for the England captain has left United focusing on alternative options, including Victor Osimhen and Juventus forward Dušan Vlahović. Despite Kane entering the final 12 months of his contract this summer, one source told ESPN that United would not risk a prolonged pursuit of Kane that drags until the final hours of the transfer window this summer. United can't afford to start the season without a new striker, the source said, and having dealt with Levy in the past, they don't want to go through that nightmare all over again with Kane, with so much at stake, so they might not even get involved. Now, isn't it interesting that Daniel Levy, who is obviously notorious for being, he drives a hard bargain. He's difficult in the negotiating room. And yet, the amount of times we dealt with people like Mino Raiola, who again is notoriously, or was notoriously sort of tricky to deal with. The amount of times that, like, United haven't bought from Napoli very often, but I love that we consider Napoli to be easier when they are one of the most difficult teams to get players out of, and they're about to win the league. They're 18 points clear in Serie A at the moment. They're absolutely certain to win the league there. They've got rich owners. They've got nightmarish negotiators. I don't think getting Victor Osimhen out of Napoli is going to be much easier, if not any easier, than getting Kane out of Tottenham personally. So I'm not particularly sure that is the whole story there. It doesn't make sense to me that you wouldn't want to deal with Daniel Levy, but you would be willing to deal with Napoli when they are just as difficult, if not more so. So yes, I can understand the reservations about Kane and about Levy, but that doesn't then mean to me that Osimhen is now, we'll just get it, pay the 50 quid and you'll get him. Pay the 100 million, you'll get him. I think they're, remember some of the prices that were floated around for Koulibaly over the last 5 or 6 years. I know Chelsea got him in the end for a lot cheaper than that. But in 2016, 2015, when his stock was really at its peak, you were looking at 100 million plus for him, which would have been by far the most expensive defender of all time. And obviously no one did it because it was too much. Let's see if we can get to 500 likes. We've only got 50 at the moment, so let's try and get to 500 if you are watching this video. Get your thoughts in on Kane, get your thoughts in on Osimhen, because, like I said, I don't quite see how dealing with Kane is too much, but dealing with Osimhen is a lot more simple. Emma Kay says it's going to be like this all the way up to the start of the season. Reporters just throwing something out there, hoping it will stick. Tobias Nilsson says, Joe, do you think we will get a striker done before the end of the window in the summer? We need to get someone in at the start of pre-season. I think we will sign a striker before the first game of pre-season. That's my prediction. If not, we'll definitely sign one before the start of the year, the start of next summer. Of next season, bloody hell. Askew99 says, Joe, you're a legend. Thank you very much. Sorry about my slightly hoarse voice this morning. I've got a bit of a cold, but, let's not go on about that. I think United will definitely sign a striker this summer. And on this sort of United have to sell to buy angle, if you think about who we've got to potentially sell, you're looking at Maguire, McTominay, Wan-Bissaka or Dalot, or neither, but, potentially one of them. I would say one of Diallo or Ahmad, Pellistri and Sancho, I think would be made available to sell. I think Martial might be made available to sell. I think Dean Henderson would be made available to sell. I think when you look at it, United have got a lot of players. Van der Beek maybe another one as well. McTominay, I think I said that already, didn't I? Maybe available to sell. I think you're looking at Elanga as well. Excuse me, I missed him. I think you're looking at probably 100 to 150 million quid's worth of players to be available to sell there. So, personally, I think United could definitely afford someone like Osimhen or Kane. Eric Bailly is another one. But again, what are you getting for him? 2 or 3 million? I think that United will be able to afford and will certainly go after someone like Kane or Osimhen. Right, we're going to be back this afternoon for the preview for Manchester United versus Real Betis. Got to win. But me and Jay will go through that, talk about exactly how these players make sure that we don't get tripped up away in Spain. Thank you very much for joining us. Hit like on the video if you haven't already. Like I said, let's get to 500 likes. If you're watching this and there isn't 500 likes on the video, click like and we'll get there. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you in a bit.